You're listening to Kevin and the Spleen.
No one's gonna ever love me.
1098.5 Radio QWX. For quick.
Bussin', no cap.
No cap.
Really smack you in the ass with flavor. There you go. This show is about depression, anxiety, PTSD, and chronic illness.
We going quick. Trying to keep you on the path to the ride home on the evening time.
It's a fucking zoo.
Make it Quicks. With the Quicks Radio.
White lives do not matter.
Hey kids, it's me, the Spleen, coming at you live with Kevin. And Kevin, we were having some technical issues. I thought I saw someone on that screen earlier. Who was that?
A very, very handsome man.
What the? Now what's going on?
I don't know.
Well, what's
I
that
honestly
song?
don't know.
Is that a different show?
I think it was, yeah.
Oh boy, you're doing other shows, Kevin?
I am. I'm seeing other podcast hosts behind your back a little bit here.
What do they look like?
Shockingly handsome. Actually,
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, shockingly handsome.
Now you said you only had eyes for me.
That is true. That is 100% true. But I have a certain thing for dark-haired, bearded gentlemen with glasses.
What? Oh, okay. Right. That's me. Okay, yeah. Or is it? That's just like the guy I saw on the screen.
It is slightly. I think the less we talk about this, probably the better. But I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Yeah, I'm freaking losing it. I'm losing my trademark ease. I can't even think about any of the crazy hijinks that I've been into lately. I'm so thrown off by this.
Should we just start over? I kind of feel like maybe we should just do another intro at this point.
I mean, maybe we should, but it's just you know what I've been up to, Kevin?
What have you been up to?
I've been at the store buying produce.
What store?
Ralph's. You see, that's not who I am. At the store buying produce, that's not me. You know?
I mean, I could see it if it was part of some kind of prank or scheme or something, maybe.
Right. That's exactly what you've come to expect from my loose and wild stylings. But you know what I was doing this morning?
What were you doing this morning?
I was eating a bagel. Nothing crazy about that. That's a completely normal thing to eat in the morning.
Are you turning over a new leaf or is something wrong?
No, I'm just all out of sorts. I don't know what's going on.
I get that. I feel that way right now too. I don't know. My technology was all working fine and suddenly it wasn't. I get it.
This would be a good time to use a med bed, you know? They work on technology too. You can put like a computer in there.
Is there anything they can't do?
We're still figuring that out. I think the one thing they can't do is ship on time to the customer is what we're discovering. That's the one thing med beds can't do.
Do you think that's maybe because somebody ordered like a few 100,000 of them and your order got bumped down a little bit?
It must be.
Yeah.
Kevin, I got to be real honest with you. I don't even think this is my voice. This doesn't sound right? Doesn't this sound wrong?
I mean, it's evolved over time because I think the first time we heard the Spleen, it was a lot closer to Big Copper's voice a little bit. And then over time, it's gotten a little bit,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big Copper.
I
don't even know who that is. That's how crazy. This is Kevin. I don't know how I sound.
Are you having some kind of existential crisis right now?
I don't know what it is. Is it Kevin and the Spleen?
I think that's currently the show we're on right now. Yes.
Oh boy, Kevin.
Yeah.
We gotta talk about something seriously. We gotta talk seriously for a second. Right now, I'm looking at the downloads for our show. In the last episode, got 10 times the views.
Yes.
this is like, I don't know. This is such a classic. This could be like a sitcom episode where, the gang ruins the show trying to figure out why the show did so well last episode,
Yeah.
I think we were piecing it together 10 times the normal views. And we think that we just maybe popped up in some ad or something. Like if you're scrolling through Spotify, suddenly we were a possible thing to click on somehow by some, almost certainly mistake or sabotage done to the Spotify platform. I almost said Spotify platform. Now that's an idea. Spotify platform. That sounds cool.
That is.
But so we got 10 times the views on the end of Kevangelion, which could have been called the Kend of, I guess it couldn't have been called that. No. So what a weird episode to come in on, huh? For 10 times the views. Just your theories on the movie End of Evangelion. Like that's intense.
I know. I feel like if we were going to get that chance to expose the show to so many new people, it shouldn't have been that one.
Yeah, check out the Brennan Lee Mulligan episode. That was good.
That was really good. I like that one a lot. I kind of wish that, if you're new here, go listen to that one. What was that? Like streaming something across a meadow, or what do we call that one?
Yeah, it was something like that. But I mean, certainly the good news is that those people aren't here to watch this today or listen to it. So, we don't have to send them to a better episode because it's just over. And we can bend over backwards trying to recreate the magic of the end of Kevangelion.
I don't know. And we were looking through some analysts. It looks like most of the new people were finishing the episode because it tells us that.
Yeah, they had normal user behavior, which is to say they turned off the later the episode got, including 20% within the first several seconds were out of there, which again makes sense to me. But yeah, this is good. This is good radio. Okay, Kevin.
Yes.
This is too good of an idea to bust out this early. But I have a pet peeve about Jeopardy.
Oh, okay.
They say like it's backwards, that's like the whole premise. It's like a reverse or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that used to be a stronger part of its identity, I guess, because normal game shows were so omnipresent that the idea that a game show could be done backwards is, but it's not really a backwards show. They're not really doing it backwards. They just have an answering framing that makes it seem like they are doing it backwards,
Right. Because truly backwards would be the contestants coming up with questions and trying to stump somebody.
And that's exactly my idea, Kevin. We're gonna play reverse Jeopardy.
Oh no.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So this is if Jeopardy was actually no. Okay. This is not. I set this up wrong. This is if Jeopardy was the right way forward. This was if Jeopardy was just a normal game show. Here it would be like this. Okay. So Kevin.
Yes.
For 400. Who is Grover Cleveland?
Yeah, he was a president of the United States.
That's close. Can you be more specific?
You looking for what number he was?
I'm looking for a lot of information because that's
okay.
The answer to the question.
Oh,
right?
Okay. Oh, so okay. Well, I think that's already most of my knowledge about Grover Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't think of a single fact. I mean, wasn't Grover from Sesame Street named after him?
Possibly, yeah.
Okay. And Cleveland is a city in Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. There's three things I can tell you about Grover Cleveland. But probably one are true.
So the question would be within a 3.5 year period, he became a mayor of Buffalo, governor of New York, and president of the U.S. So you're way off. You only got like one of those three.
Okay. And I don't know the answer to any of those, really.
Yeah. So what about this? This was going so much better in my head. When I imagined this idea, this is going so much better. But what is Pompeii?
It was the city that was drowned in ash and hot gases and stuff like that from, what is it, Mount Vesuvius?
I'm going to need the year.
Year. I don't know. It was really, it was crazy early AD, wasn't it? Like 79 AD or something like that?
Oh my God, Kevin, you got it right. See, this is a normal quiz show. Is I ask a question like, what is Pompeii? And you give the answer to what the question is, which is this city was destroyed in 79 CE due to the eruption of Mount Vesuvius.
Okay,
here's a good one. Go ahead.
Guess that. Okay, go ahead. No, it's fine. I totally made that up, though. Okay.
You got it right, though. When is 1989?
The year?
Yeah, when is it?
Let's see. That would be 37 years ago?
No, the answer is the Berlin Wall fell in November of this year. So see, that's if this was a normal quiz show, we'd just ask a normal question like, what is 1989? And you know, you'd answer a normal answer like the Berlin Wall fell in November of this year. You know, that's what a normal quiz show would be doing. But Jeopardy, they're like, what if we took that and did it backwards? You see? We could do this all day. What is Scotland?
Yeah. One of the four countries that make up the United Kingdom other than England, Wales, and Northern Ireland.
Way off.
Okay. What is the second most popular, or country that has the second most popular version of Gaelic after Ireland?
Way off. Couldn't be more wrong.
Okay.
The Battle of Culloden was fought in 1746 in this country.
Okay.
What about when is 1347?
1347. What happened in 1340? I don't know.
Well, historians believe that the bubonic plague started in Europe in this year. So
okay, that does make sense.
That's when it was. That's apparently when 1347 was.
Okay.
Who knew? Who would have thought?
This is hard, I have to tell you.
Yeah, it's you know, it's way harder than Jeopardy. You know, they thought like, oh, let's make this more complicated, make this crazy backwards show. And it's like, way actually more complicated to do it normal, to do a normal quiz show. Man, I can't believe I burnt that up in our first however long. Who even knows? Folks, let us know why we got 10 times the traffic on the episode. Speaking of which, this could be why, Kevin, is I was on the Evangelion Reddit and someone was asking questions on Evangelion, and someone put, check out this awesome podcast that happens. They've been watching Evangelion, and they went into some detail about it. So that's cool. We got a shout out in the wild.
I wish they had listened to any of the other episodes where it was something other than me just pontificating on what we've already talked about before.
Yeah. Just, can you imagine that guy who's like, oh, I just watched Evangelion the first time this past month. I have some questions. Tune into Kevin.
Yes.
You know, like, what was that? What was that stuff on his hand? You know, or whatever. I don't know. I don't listen to the show, folks. I do. But oh boy, Kevin,
Spencer,
why do they love us? Why did we get 10x the views?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
I hope it's because they agreed with the political content of any ads we aired on the show. That's what I hope.
When you listen, what ads do you get?
I can't remember offhand, honestly, but
you skip the ads, don't you?
No, I don't. They're just it's like I just, the one I'm remembering is it's like a guy who sounds kind of like a cowboy talking about something that might be metal modern parts that a cowboy wouldn't have nothing to do with. Get your homeowner's insurance because I'm a cowboy. Like it's something like that. I don't know. It's very short, innocuous stuff.
The only one I really remember hearing is the same one that runs on like Fox News about the cowboy talking about catheters. I've heard him a couple times.
Yeah.
Which makes me wonder what demographic slot they've really put me in now.
Yeah. Out here on the range, we do a different kind of sounding. We insert rods into our peni. Partner. Sometimes I get really frustrated, Kevin. I feel like I have funny parts, but they don't connect to parts that make sense.
I don't
Does
know
that
that
make
that's
sense?
necessarily yeah, but that's like a lot of the great comedians I can think of, like their acts are just all over the place, and I think there's a certain genius in being able to take all these like all over the place bits and bring them all together.
There's a certain genius in not having coherence, isn't there, Kevin?
Well, not having coherence and channeling it into something enjoyable. Yes, anyone can be crazy, but it takes some skill to take the crazy and make it fun.
Yeah. Man, this year we were supposed to have Schraub on the podcast. Remember that? That was like 7 months ago. We got to just bite the bullet and get him on.
We should just do that. Yeah.
We were going to do a more elaborate. When I say more elaborate, it's not like that elaborate, but there was more elaborate production that we were going to do for the Schraub episode. But when you do that, suddenly it's October and you haven't had Schraub on all year. We haven't done fucking anything this year. It sucks, Kevin.
Let's make that happen before the end of the year.
Hey, that happens. Drink. Everybody drink. Speaking of that happens, I got, have you ever had a thought that you were like, I don't think this is my own brain thinking. This is like a message from some other outside force?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Tell me what about it?
I don't know. Like, there have been times where I've been like trying to solve a problem, and then all of a sudden this like incredible leap will come to me that I did not like. I have to like think backwards to figure out how that even makes sense. Like I don't know how my brain jumped to 10 steps ahead. So there's times where I felt like, something has just inserted that into my brain somehow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What were you talking about there?
I had a thought the other day that it sounded like it didn't come from my own brain. It was a thought. The thought said, "Hey, Spencer, this is Calvin from the telepathy tapes, and it is real." So that's weird, right?
That is. That really is.
Like, what could explain that?
Maybe you're very susceptible to suggestion. I don't think that's the case, though.
Ouch, that's mean. Okay, but you don't think it's the case. Okay.
No, I don't think that's true. I think that's true. I think maybe it's a case of maybe the telepathy tapes are real. I don't want to go that far, but
that's what the thought certainly thought.
Yeah.
And where did that come from, huh?
I don't know. Where do you think it came from?
Calvin from the telepathy tapes.
Okay.
I don't know if that's
right.
I never paid attention to, I never followed that stuff, so I don't know if there is a Calvin. If there isn't. That's all, Kevin. I was talking to Jeff, not that Jeff, my friend Jeff. And I was saying if I was in the cask of Amontillado, it wouldn't have gone down like that. You know about the cask of Amontillado, Kevin?
No, I don't. Sounds familiar, but no.
Guy gets bricked into a catacomb or something. A guy gets walled in to an alcove, and he left to die there. He's walled in like Thomas and the Tank Engine's friend. It wasn't Thomas that got walled in. It was his friend, maybe Henry. One of those.
That's pretty dark. Yeah.
Yeah, but it wouldn't have gone down like that if it were me, Kevin.
What would you have done?
I would have stopped him.
Okay.
I said, hey, don't wall me in. Don't wall me into this alcove.
Yeah.
I would have stepped over the wall he was building.
That's a pretty big hole in the plot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have done all sorts of, it depends on when I start taking control of the situation, Kevin. First, I let him think that, I'm in, I'm all for it. I'm on board to this plan, I'm like holding the mortar I'm saying like, here, have some more mortar for your bricks, and then then I'm starting to worm tongue him, I'm starting to like be like, hey, it'd be pretty cool if you put a weak part of the wall right here, starting to sabotage the structural integrity of the thing.
Yeah. Mix up some really weak mortar behind his back, act like you're helping him, but put way too much water in.
Exactly. I start telling him like, hey, the other guys, they don't think you know how to build a wall, but me, you have my full trust. I start turning him against everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who else is in the scenario. I think there's just two people in the short story. I'd do a lot. It'd be good. I don't know what the deal is. Speaking of which, you ever see the movie No Country for Old Men, Kevin?
I've never watched it. I've meant to, but I never have.
If I was in No Country for Old Men, it wouldn't have gone down like that.
Okay, explain.
Well, the guy, he gets into a whole heap of trouble. Let's just say that.
Okay.
And he didn't have to. I would have done it better.
What would you have done differently?
I would have made it a country for old men. Can you imagine?
Okay. It feels like a very short movie.
Yeah. What's his face? Javier Bardem. He would be like, "This ain't no country for old men," and I would be like, "Actually, it is. I've created a safe space for old men, in this country." And he would be like, "Well, about time I be rustling on out of here with the box of money or whatever." It would have been good. I don't know, that movie. I don't like it that much. It was like a good movie, but it was like, I don't know. It didn't feel like it was about anything to me. Because Kevin, I think it's about how like societal decay creates the kind of evil that's hard to understand in real human terms, because like it requires you to like personify evil into the shape of man. And it's like, but that's not, no one is like cartoonishly evil, And so the movie's kind of like about like but it's like not really about that. That's just kind of like the backdrop to what's happening. And it's not like we're really exploring that in a very interesting way. It just, that's like how you could describe what's happening. I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that. Been watching the Coen Brothers movies. It's interesting. I really thought I would love it. And I don't know. It's not bad. It didn't feel like it was about anything. But maybe that's what it was about, that it's not about anything. Maybe that's what's so crazy about it.
Someone should make a show about nothing, I feel like that could be really funny.
They could call it, what could they call it? Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yes. So you don't get too excited about the premise. Yeah.
Yeah. That's so fucking white podcaster. God damn it. There's like, in the end of Curb Your Enthusiasm, they basically try to do like the original idea for the end of Seinfeld. Like the end of Curb Your Enthusiasm was like what they were going for the end of Seinfeld, but they didn't really do it right. And then they did it in Curb Your Enthusiasm, I guess. I don't know. This is what I hear. But Seinfeld, like he pitched like a joke. And he's like, wouldn't it be funny if this was the end of this episode, the series? And like, I don't know how Larry took it or whatever, but it was like, yeah, like that's the whole bit that the ending is. Like that is the joke that the ending is doing, is the joke. And then Jerry was like, hey, that would have been funny in the Seinfeld. And it's like, yeah, you probably didn't get it then either. I don't know. This is the exact kind of thing that no one should say. I shouldn't have a podcast. I should be barred from having a podcast. I should do college tours of the podcast, Kevin, and someone should shoot me while I'm doing it. How do you think about that?
I would not enjoy that.
They'll call me the thinking man's Charlie Kirk, Kevin.
No. You should keep doing what you're doing because people seem to be enjoying it.
Yeah. Not everybody. That guy. He wrote
Well,
all the
okay.
bullets.
We suddenly got, all of these new people listening to the show, and most of them finished it. You gotta take that as some kind of endorsement of what you're doing.
Yeah. Some kind, certainly, yeah. Kevin, Charlie Kirk, he's still dead, Kevin. I feel like we were gonna do a show on the day that they were having his funeral. I think I don't know. I kind of just didn't feel like doing a show that day. That wasn't Kevin's fault. That was my fault. I think part of the reason why I didn't want to feel like I was doing a show was, or I didn't feel like doing a show was because that funeral, it was like crazy. Like people were like out at 5:30 in the morning to stand in a line to go to the funeral. And they were like talking to press, being like, woo, we love Charlie Kirk. Woo, we're in line for the funeral at 5:30 in the morning. Woo. Like, that was like fucking me up a little bit. I was like, I don't know. There's something impressive about human potential, but the fact that human potential can be shaped into that shape, pretty dark. It's the kind of thing where you just got to like sit down on a rock and look out into the middle distance for a while. That's kind of how I was feeling that day.
Yeah. The whole thing was very weird. And like, I don't know. If I die in the next like month or something, suddenly, I don't want a funeral like that. Like I don't, that's nuts.
Yeah. Like people say like a funeral should be a celebration of life, but I don't think it should be that kind of celebration.
Exactly.
Like that is a very bizarre, it's just, I mean, it's all these people that they don't have validation and acceptance in their lives unless they're acting in their role selves, like the emotional immaturity book would put it. And so they're all just looking for like, oh, is this a way I can be? Is this a way that someone will say, oh, good job, way to be that? And they're just always, they're looking for cameras. They're going woo, they're trying to be all like, oh, and I think this, I don't know. It's just like, there's something really, even outside of how dangerous it is and how culty it is, there's just something like truly pathetic. Like really not like, oh, I wish more out of your life. More like, I don't know, when you see like a really injured, dying dog in like a video of Africa or something, and it's like, this dog doesn't have a chance, It's like, damn, there's some things you can't do anything about, and that's hundreds of millions of people in this country, like, damn, that's crazy. I just, maybe next time, maybe we'll get another generation of people who isn't as fucked, but they're all being fucked up by this stuff now. But I don't know, something about it was, I guess I could say scary, but more than just scary, just deranged. But it's over now. And I'm sure it's not the last we're seeing of this stuff, TPUSA or, the Charlie Kirk brand or whatever. But, it's over. Like, we're over it. No one cares anymore. I'm sure you're not going to be able to make cruel jokes in mixed company, but, the world is moving on. And that's what's going to happen to all of these hate mongers. They're not going to stay relevant forever, and people will move on and they won't have power. And that's cool. That's good, at least. Right?
Yeah. I wish I had your optimism there, but yes. And even though that's not very optimistic, I still, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I said before, I'm going to bet money. Well, not money. I'm going to bet that this is going to be a good thing. It's going to be a net good. And it's great to make that bet because if it goes bad, it's like, yeah, what the fuck do you expect? You thought it was going to be good? Come on. Of course it's bad.
Yeah.
It's all bad. Everything's bad forever.
Yeah.
But so far, doesn't seem too bad. Seems like mostly it's over. And now they're just now how can we trick people in a new way, One thing though, they went and tried to get a bunch of people fired. A bunch of people did get fired. I was thinking about that. It's like they were trying to say, when Trump dies, you're not allowed to celebrate it. We're not going to let you have a good time when Trump dies. We're going to get you fired too. Like they were trying to be like, don't get too excited. We can't have that. You can't just have a good thing. Which is interesting. I wonder, cause I don't know, I guess before I saw it happen, it's not like I couldn't believe it, but it's certainly not one of my prognostications that's like, oh, you could get fired for saying that a Nazi was a Nazi after he dies, But in this new world where a bunch of people did get fired, although, a lot of people didn't, but a bunch of people did get fired, you could definitely imagine oh, I got fired for saying it's good that Trump died, That's going to suck. That's a real bummer.
Yeah.
But they're not going to be able to contain it either.
Yeah. Well, just strategically, I feel like they maybe shot their shot too early with trying to get too many people fired over relatively minor things, like the fact that Disney backed down on Jimmy Kimmel and stuff like that. I think was a definite strategic mistake if that's the goal behind a lot of this stuff.
Right.
All they did was just prove that there was more pushback than they thought there was going to be. So I don't think that was really the wisest choice to go this hard against people who did relatively minor jokes.
Yeah, for a guy who was so not central to the party, so not well liked, the only people who really liked him were fucking Ezra Klein, which Ezra Klein's been in the news lately. He had Ta-Nehisi Coates on to talk, and he's been getting rightfully torn asunder, which is good. I wonder if that's going to go anywhere because he really did get rinsed. And a lot of times when people get proven wrong online, they don't change their mind. But Ezra Klein at least has a reputation of being a smart, thinker. So it'll be interesting to see how he does or doesn't, respond to any of this pushback. Because, they were talking about, just Ezra Klein is always talking. This guy, Kevin, we should get him on the podcast. I was thinking we should get Duncan Trussell on the podcast. I don't think we will, though. But it would be interesting to see how he is now,
Yeah.
But
how do you think that would go?
I think it would go a little something like this. We got a great guest for you, folks. Coming to you from the comedy mothership. Oh, what planet's on that one? A distant planet, a little someplace called Texas. Whoa, that's out there. Sound effect button. Duncan Trussell's in the studio. How you doing?
I cannot do a Duncan
I can't hear him
at all.
I can't hear him.
Yeah. Okay.
Kevin,
more tech problems for me.
this is how it would go. You can't deny that this is how it would go, Kevin.
That's the way.
No, but so Elephant Graveyard is a YouTuber, and he came out with a video, the comedy Jonestown, Joe Rogan's comedy Jonestown. And Duncan Trussell got mentioned, and so it was on the Harmontown stuff. Someone was like, I wonder what Spencer thinks of it. I didn't want to watch it. I have a problem with YouTube. I hate how YouTube's like, hey, watching a 4-hour video about nothing is normal culture now. And people will expect you to have seen something so that you can have opinion on something that easily could have been expressed in 10 minutes at most. But now it's part of the culture. So you're the asshole for not watching the 4-hour fucking YouTube video. I hate that. I hate that so much. It's like that's how the algorithm is designed. It's designed to make long videos that kind of barely say anything about, Elden Ring lore or something. I hate it. I hate it. It's you don't have to be Jordan Peterson, but everybody goes Jordan Peterson mode where they're always kind of half saying a million things. And if you're ever trying to nail someone down on like, oh, but you just said that, they're like, oh, but I didn't. Because actually I said nothing at all. And it's like, then why did you waste 2 hours of my life? If you're not fucking saying anything. Anyway. But Elephant Graveyard, he had a good video on Joe Rogan when he had to record his Netflix special, and he just totally bombed. And it was funny watching, the guy break down his bombing video because they would play clips and it would be, cut to silence. So he'd like do a joke and it would have like no laughter. And it was just interesting. But, I don't know. Elephant Graveyard does these stuff. I don't know what all he does because I've only seen his Rogan stuff. But he did a video called like The Comedy Czar, which is like trying to say like, here's how Joe Rogan became like the right wing's comedy czar. He's kind of like a political operative in the culture. And then they did the Comedy Jonestown one, which I don't know. I don't know what I expected, but I thought it was pretty weak. It was just about, various people in Joe Rogan's orbit, including Duncan Trussell, and like how they're bad people. And it's like, who would have thought that, being a crazy right-wing misogynist who takes gorilla brain pills, would end up with some not great personalities being elevated, like, oh, kill Tony, the guy who said all that stuff. He was like being racist about Venezuela or whatever. I don't know what the fuck. But who would have thought that guy was bad? It's like, we all know he's bad. You're doing a video on him because he's bad. Like, you don't have to explain to me why this is a bad person. We know he's a bad person. Everybody talks about it constantly. And that's kind of what that video was. But the Comedy Czar video was a bit different. It kind of more was like a look into how Joe Rogan became political. Because he didn't start super political. He was just a dipshit. And I don't know, it shows that like he got the idea to do the show from Tom Green, because Tom Green had like a live internet talk show. And he was one of the first people to kind of do that. And Joe Rogan went on. And when he went on, he was asking him a bunch of questions and really interested in like the idea of doing what Tom Green was doing, and like he was talking about like, oh, how do they make money off of this and stuff? And then, then the Joe Rogan show shows up, and it's basically, what you could see Joe Rogan imagining when he was asking Tom Green all these questions about how he did the Tom Green show, and then the Comedy Czar video, like you could see Duncan Trussell kind of like is saying like, I'm worried about you because these shadowy manipulators, they'll show up and use your platform and they'll manipulate you. And like, I don't know, like you could be used for dark things or whatever is like what Duncan's saying. And then meanwhile, like Joe Rogan is like high off his ass off of like some massive blunt. And he's like, but how am I going to be manipulated? Because like, I'm a genius. No one can manipulate me. And just like, it's like, of course, this is Joe Rogan. This is that level of dipshit. But of course, that's how he thought he was going to deal with this was, oh, I'm simply too smart for this to be an issue, And it was interesting. It goes into a lot more detail. I think the Comedy Czar video is much better than the Jonestown video. It's shorter too. But the thing that I thought was interesting is I think people have this idea of Democratic politicians, which is oversimplified and basically conspiratorial. Like the idea that like, oh, it's all just a game to them. And then they go and pat each other on the back and go like, and how can we get more power to Republicans? Ha ha ha. That's our plan. I think people kind of imagine that, or they imagine like a cartoon cutout of corruption with a big suitcase full of money, and corruption walks into the door to the politician's office and is like, "Hello, I am Corruption Man. Here's the briefcase of money. Do my bidding, please." You know, and that's just not how it happens. You know, it's not so obvious. And I think like seeing the Comedy Czar video, you see kind of Joe Rogan being put through the alt-right pipeline, basically. And none of it's like super insidious, and it has a lot to do with just platforming just batshit people who believe in aliens and ghosts and stuff, you know, and just getting used to some level of nonsense before like more insidious people start trying to use those same like spaces and terminologies to really get their agenda going, not just like their agenda isn't just getting someone to believe in a Bigfoot or something, you know? And I was thinking about it and I was like, this is like a case study in how Democratic politicians become corrupt. Because, I mean, obviously Joe Rogan is just some random idiot, right? Who basically through dumb luck became the host of the biggest podcast like ever, and people attracted to him and slowly used his platform and in his stuff for their ends, and they eventually twisted him to their ends. And he's just some fucking idiot who got really successful randomly, right? And you don't necessarily think about, you know, a politician, you know, John Fetterman or whatever, as being Joe Rogan, but they are some random idiot, right? Like, you could be smart, but at the end of the day, your average Democrat is just some random idiot, like any other person on the planet. You know, they're just some fucking dumbass. And they did just become randomly successful overnight. You know, it's not like they just had a podcast that caught on, but they randomly got a seat of power in our government, you know, and they're just like, I can figure it out. There's no manual to this. Who knows who I should and shouldn't be platforming, you know, and this guy's nice to me. And it's fun to talk to him on the show. So I'm used to socializing with this person. And then trust builds up over time. And then that person introduces me to a person I don't know. And that person is saying some crazy shit, but he vouches for, you know, and the next thing you know, you're saying all this stuff and you're having all the Republicans on and you got Charlie Kirk on your show, you know, like, I think like we would like to believe that our politicians are better than Joe Rogan, but other than like religious belief, there's no solid evidence that I think you should point to and go, and here, this means that we can't be fall victim to these same tricks. Like, there's nothing fundamental about Joe Rogan's brain that prevents any of our brains from making similar to conclusions, you know? And that was kind of my takeaway watching these elephant graveyard videos. It's like, this is how it happens. Again, it's not a guy with money. It's just a guy who's like a good hang in a place where you have to be several hours a day, you know? And that's what ruins everything, you know? I don't know. It's a thought I had, Kevin.
No, I know I've talked about this a little bit before, but like back in like 99, 2000, 2001, I was part of a group that would sometimes play online games, and Joe Rogan was sort of attached to that. So like I've talked to him back 25 years ago. Like I literally have not talked to him since 2000. Mm-hmm. You know, and back then he was known as just being a comedian, not you know, like I think this was actually pre-Fear Factor, if I'm remembering right, and everything. He was just a comedian then. Mm-hmm. And you know, the whole premise was, so I don't know if you play games way back then, but basically most like online shooting games like Quake and Tribes and stuff like that, whoever had the slowest connection basically set the pace for the whole game. You know, like everyone had the same amount of lag as the slowest person playing. Mm-hmm. And at the time when 99% of the people were on dial-up and there was like this 1% elites that didn't, those people didn't want to play with people on dial-up. So we had this group called LPB, the low ping bastards, basically the people who had the crazy low ping times. And I worked for an ISP, so I had a crazy low, like fast connection that I could play from work. He had this T1 line, which is like a commercial grade at the time, super fast internet connection brought to his house just to play games on. Mm-hmm. And I remember really clearly back then seeing him based off of what the mood was from other people, he would mimic them entirely. Like
Mhm.
if we were playing against a bunch of people who were being really childish and giving your mama jokes, stuff like that, he would that's his personality. If he was playing with people that would just like really intelligently, wittily roast people, he would do the same thing. And that's
Mhm.
like the only real memory I have of him of just being like this really good mimic of other people. And I'm wondering if that's not how he ended up how he is. I'm trying not to like place a bunch of importance on one vague memory of somebody from 25 years ago, but I feel like he does have I don't know if it's BPD. I don't know if what it is about him that makes him able to mimic people so well. But that was my clearest memory of him was like, hey, whoever he's around is the personality he adopts. And I kind of think maybe he just fell into this wrong crowd, maybe, or he found a group of people that responded really well to his mimicry, maybe. I don't know. Or
Yeah,
he's just a
well,
bad
that's like,
person. I don't know.
but that's just like comedy is coping, right? Like if
Yeah.
you're being bullied, you develop comedy to deal with that, and so then that turns into comedy as social mirroring. I that all makes sense, and that slots into uh acting in your role self, emotional immature
Yeah.
stuff. But I mean, that's the thing is like you come into Congress and you don't know what's going on, you don't know who to sit with and stuff, and then the people you trust and the people you see a lot are lobbyists because it's their job to see you a lot, and so you have to put up with them, and you start to trust them. It's all not good. It's just less cartoonish than people want to believe because it's easier if everyone's cartoon villains. Kevin, we got to drink the soda. It's been too long. I like to drink a soda at the beginning of
Okay.
the show or whenever. But Kevin, you got me this Mountain Dew pitch black. Why is it in this shape? Is this from it's from a different place?
I think that was from
Belgian?
Netherlands or maybe England. I can't remember now.
Ingrediënten. Koolzerhoudend water. Meiseroop. Met inhoog fructosegelhalte. It looks kind of Germany.
Okay.
Who knows? What do you got, Kevin?
I actually have Liquid Death Fruity Pebbles flavored. That's not
Wow.
going to focus at all, is it? Okay, there we go. It's sparkling water that's supposed to taste like Fruity Pebbles.
Mhm.
I'm intrigued by the idea.
Have you had any of the Liquid Death flavors? I've never had them. I've had their flat water, but not the
Yeah,
flavored
I've had the
stuff.
plain, but I haven't done the weird ones yet.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't like seltzer water, but
I don't either, but I was told this was actually pretty decent, even if you don't
I've
like
heard
it.
that
But
too. Yeah.
I feel like I'm not going to like it anyway. I just don't like that really metallic taste of like seltzer water.
Mm. Oh, this has just gone off. This was the expiration date is 4/10/25, which was yesterday. Fun stuff.
Uh-oh.
No, it's fine. You want to go first, Kevin, or shall I?
Sure. Sure. I can.
Kevin's
Okay.
going first.
It does smell like the milk left over from eating Fruity Pebbles.
Mine just
Not Fruity
smells like
Pebbles
grape
that smell,
soda.
but that kind of,
That vaguely fruit milk.
yeah. It's that thought of a scent, not the scent itself kind of thing,
Kevin's making this up. Kevin, you're just making shit up. You're gaslighting the audience and they can tell.
No, you know what I'm talking about though? Like how really, really artificial things are more just like the suggestion of an idea of the thing, not the
Yeah,
thing.
essence. Naturally
Yeah.
essenced.
Yeah, that's what it smells like. So what was your scent that you got?
Just grape soda. Just
Grape
average
soda.
Welch's
Okay.
or, crushed
All right.
grape soda.
You taste it first. Go for it.
I'm tasting first. It tastes a lot more like grape soda. It tastes more like grape soda than Mountain Dew. It tastes a little bit flat. What about? Oh, you were drinking something else, Kevin. Your
Yeah,
moonlighting beverages.
I was trying to clear my palate a little bit here.
What was that? What were you just drinking?
Oh, that was just RC because I want to taste. I didn't want to
RC
taste this
Cola.
first off camera, or so.
Yeah. Royal Crown Cola.
Okay, it smells so much like Fruity Pebbles milk. That's really bizarre. Okay. That's really, really strong artificial sweetener. More than anything else, it just tastes like artificial sweetener mixed with they wave some fruity pebbles near it kind of thing. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um it smells more like it than it tastes like it by far. You know, it's insanely metallic, aspartame kind of. Yeah. I have no idea. It's I'm going to.
Mine tastes like just normal grape soda, which is weird. It definitely has a little bit of something in it. It's not just normal. It's got to be, Mountain Dew somehow, but just tastes like
Okay.
grape soda.
I will take
Oh,
it
wow.
back. It's not artificial sweetener. It's agave and stevia. But those do
Mhm.
have kind of a weird aftertaste to them, I guess.
Yeah, I guess I would think of stevia as artificial sweetener, but I guess technically it's not, huh? It's like natural
Well,
sweetener.
I don't associate stevia with tasting like aspartame, really.
Right. Yeah. Yep. Well, what a bust. We're
Yeah,
hemorrhaging all these new viewers we got, Kevin.
I know. I feel like we should have prepared something.
Yeah, TikTok got bought by Nazis, or they're being taken over by Nazis now, so that's a whole problem. What's the next TikTok, Kevin? We got to find the new TikTok.
I think we should just create a streaming site just for you. Just like
Mhm.
a place people could go to hear Spencer's thoughts 24/7.
Yeah, I had this idea for a website. Was it the Post? I don't know. It was like the idea is it's like a telephone pole that you could just attach like screeds to.
Okay.
And so it kind of be I guess it would be kind of visual or like spatial, because I think you really would want to navigate it like a physical space where people are just like, you'd like slap like an essay to it, and now there's an essay there. And I don't know, you probably need some sort of voting or ranking system or something. But I think the point is like people who are truly like yelling into the void to just have a bunch of people's insane rants and screeds on, and it wouldn't real I guess you could probably comment on it or something, but it wouldn't really be for like conversation the way if you saw like someone's phone number on a bathroom stall. It's not like you're like, I'm gonna comment on this, you're just meant to be like, oh, someone put this on the wall, you know the
I like
screed.
this. Okay. The screed.
The screed. Kevin and the screed. No, there's something.
It's yes. Okay, I
Kevin and
like
the
this
screed.
idea.
Yeah, we can
Should
make
people
it.
be able to like post follow-ups to it? Like posts and things like that?
I think, yeah, I guess, because that seems natural, but you don't just want it to be like someone posting like, oh, here's what I did today. It's for people that are like fired up about shit. But that's also why it's like maybe bad or dangerous. Just be like, hey, what's with all these Jews or whatever, like it seems like it could be bad. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
know.
I think there's just this law of the internet that unless you go through great pains to prevent it, any social media platform will initially be taken over by Nazis.
Yeah, yeah. They're good at that. But what
Yeah.
are we going to do about TikTok, man? We're so fucked. TikTok is great, but it's not going to stay great. I don't know. Um, what did I just look at? I just had another note on my phone. Oh, I saw this bumper sticker, Kevin. It was a bumper sticker that said, "Truth is the new hate speech." I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure out what angle. Is it like a more liberal person being like, "Oh, like truth is hate speech," in that they're trying to like ban it? It's the new thing that the institutions are trying to ban? Or is truth hate speech because like these sicko libs hate truth so much. You know, it's like I had like several interpretations that all made about as much sense. I think where I landed on it was probably like a right-wing person putting that. But it doesn't really feel like right-wing people is like, now you care about hate speech. It's like, isn't your whole deal that like we should be allowing people to do hate speech? You know, like it was really hard for me to figure out. So I wrote it down. I don't know what's going on.
That's definitely like a Rorschach phrase where I think every person who reads it's going to see something different when they read it.
Yeah, let me see if I can find the bumper sticker. Truth, it's the new hate speech. Well, First Amendment. Yeah. And that's the thing. People like this, they're always trying to act like they're in the middle. Like, oh, it's just isn't the world so crazy that you could have a bumper sticker? It's like, come on, fucking cowards. This whole episode's been a real screed of some sort, hasn't it, Kevin?
It has. We've gone all over the place here, but that's okay.
Yeah. You know, I think this episode, if this episode is uncomfortable to you, you know, I think it's just a reflection of the trauma of existing in a body, Kevin. Have you ever felt this?
I
just
think
the experience,
so. What do you mean by that?
The experience of existing in a body, Kevin. No one's ever thought about this before, but existing in a body is something, right? It's like it's an experience, but how often do you think about that? Like, we exist in a body, Kevin.
Yeah.
Right?
No, okay.
And isn't this insightful to point that out? Actually,
it is. It is.
Actually, that's just part of existing in a body, is thinking like this. Because this is the thought a body had.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah. Like,
and
you're trapped in your brain right now.
Yeah, and the trauma of being trapped in your brain, and the brain's trapped in the body, Kevin. But it's a prison that you can't get out of. If you got out of it, you'd die. And so we should just sit and think on that, you know?
It's really deep.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah. No, we exist in a body. My friend's texting me. We can't be worried about that. We're existing in bodies right now, Kevin. We're not existing in my phone. But that's an interesting thought. What about existing in your phone? The trauma of existing in a phone, Kevin. Now that's even scarier because, like, I'm in my body. I know what that's like. But to be in a phone, now that's trauma. That's scary.
Yes. Where would you like to exist most then, if it's not in a body or a phone?
The Bible.
Okay.
The good book, Kevin.
I feel like the amount of inconsistencies in that universe might be troubling over time.
You know, if you read the Bible, your childhood was awesome. Put that on a bumper sticker. If you recognize this, it's a picture of the Holy Bible. If you know what this is, your childhood was awesome, right?
Yes.
Just a picture of 3rd James, which is like a really short book of the Bible, if I recall. 3rd James. If you know what this is, your childhood was awesome. All right. We should just read the emails, Kevin. Okay. I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with me, Kevin. Something's. This is a good podcast. I'm so glad that the people who checked out the last episode are going to be able to sink their teeth into this one. It's definitely a good reflection of what the podcast is. I don't think you could claim otherwise, you know?
Well, yeah. It's a bit though.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's a bit more scattered and distilled than most of our shows, but this is very much our show. Anyway, Sam writes, Spencer, I'm a relatively new GM writing a 1 or 2 shot scenario for Dune Adventures in the Imperium. I haven't run too many sessions before. I've mainly been a player, so I was wondering if you had any advice. I'm mostly worried about railroading my potential players. I have some choices built into my plans, but how do I keep things from feeling restricted while staying within the bounds of my admittedly inexperienced plans? Thanks, Sam. P.S. The podcast is good and you're doing good. I mean it. Kevin, too. The 200th episode was extra hilarious because I had just watched the last 2 episodes of Evangelion. 5 stars. I was cracking up the whole time. Thanks, Sam. I think like I say don't worry too much about, especially when you're a beginner, don't worry too much about railroading. I think to the extent that you want to stop the railroading, have enemy factions that are just doing their thing no matter what, and then try to come up with ways to make that matter to the players. Like, for instance, if they're killing a bunch of people to make off with the spice or whatever, make them killing people nearby, so it's like an imminent problem that people are being killed, or make someone begging for help protecting the spice or something. Like, the thing about railroading is, like, you want to have paths that you can keep your players on, so you're not completely out in the weeds. But really what you need is like something to be happening in a way to connect the players to that thing happening, and so the main way is to have that thing kind of happening in their face or having an impact on them. But otherwise, how they get there or what they do, like that, I think is easier to improvise off of, because then you just have to like give it some loose link to what's happening, or at least be able to brainstorm on the fly, like, oh, if they don't want to go somewhere else, maybe there's just another bad guy who's doing something related to the same scheme, but they are somewhere else. They're hiring a group of warriors to do something later in reference to the scheme, but yeah, I think don't worry about it. Like, there's so many things to worry about in it as a DM that I think worrying too much about railroading to the beginning is just like putting extra stuff on your plate. That's not going to help, Kevin doesn't know. Kevin doesn't know anything about this. You don't know anything.
I feel
about
very
DMing,
unqualified to even chime in on this one.
That's okay. Stink writes, hey guys, just wanted to reassure you that no feelings were hurt over your comments regarding my comments. I only stopped because I didn't want anyone to think that I'm trying to be the funny guy, or that I'm being try hard or attention seeking in the vein of some Harbortown fans. Now that you two have acknowledged my comments, I'm sure I will begin again soon. By the way, the 200th episode was incredible, and I was consistently belly laughing. 201st kicked ass too. The podcast is good, and you're good at doing it, and I love you. From Stink Shatten, or Stink Shaten, Stink Shaten, Stink Shatten, Stink Shatten, right?
I think so.
I forgot to include a dream I had 2 weeks ago that you can interpret if you're still into that. I was at a show venue of some sort, sitting on a staircase, when by wild coincidence, sitting on the steps directly below me or in front of me was none other than Jeff Ekman and Spencer Critterdog, respectively. I said, oh, hello, and we all stood up to say hello. Dream over. Let me know what you think. Yeah, that's not when I interpret dreams, that's the kind of dream that I go, it doesn't really mean anything. Recombined imagery, the things that you think of in your waking life show up in random orders in dreams. Doesn't always mean anything. Maybe it does, but it's hard to really draw any conclusion from that. What do you think, Kevin? You have any idea about that dream?
Yeah, I don't know that there's you can read much meaning into that, but I do generally find it significant if I remember the thing that makes me wake up. That usually means it's something that I need to think more about, or I feel like I need to, but I can't imagine what that might be in this context.
Yeah. Anyway, Travis writes, now that you've covered End of Evangelion on the pod, have you and the Anime Binge Club seen Mega 64's Eva in 5 minutes and End of Eva in 5 minutes? It's a fun vid, especially if you have the context of the show. Keep on potting, Travis. I have not seen that. Have you, Kevin?
No, I have not. Should we?
I guess we should.
All right.
Next week, though, I want to just maybe do the FLCL, though. Maybe we'll do that. That could be good. I wonder if anything crazy will happen in the news. Ugh. Democrats. I get so mad, Kevin. You don't even know. Okay. What? Go ahead.
No, I feel like you do have a lot of rage in you right now.
Despite all my rage, I'm still just against the machine.
That's exactly how that song goes, yeah.
That's how it goes.
Yeah.
Mark writes, hi, Spencer and Kevin. I hope you're feeling okay, Kevin. Or if you're not sick, I hope that your international spy assignment went off without a hitch and you returned with all limbs intact. You have anything to say to that?
I have all my limbs.
Okay, great.
I cannot comment any further.
Okay. Yeah, we can't say in what state they are, but you definitely have them. Spencer, I just wanted to say I really enjoyed your chat with Alexis. You mentioned how weirdly niche the topics you talk about are, but for me, it's fantastic listening to two friends chat about Eva and playing Magic casually. And I was so excited when Destroy All Humans They Can't Be Regenerated came up because I've been reading it and dying to talk to someone else about it. It's a great book. I'm only up to volume 3, though, so I have some catching up to do, I think. I would really enjoy more Magic talk on the podcast, even if it's just an occasional thing. I played in high school a little. I'm 46 now, so it's around the time of Ice Age. The block, not the actual Ice Age, but only really got deeply into it around 5 years ago. Some friends I play D&D with were talking about the Adventures in Forgotten Realms set and playing Commander. I was only introduced to D&D in my late 30s, so I didn't have the same level of interest in the set as they did. But when I read about Crimson Vow and Midnight Hunt, I was in. Without getting too deep into my origin story, I actually started playing Jihad in high school, which was the TCG based on White Wolf's The Vampire TTRPG. I tried to get my friends into it, but the games were long and not super interesting. By the time they revamped and simplified it into Vampire: The Eternal Struggle, everyone had moved on to Magic, and I did the same thing. Cut to 30 years later, I saw I could build a Vampire Magic deck. I was in. Long story short, I like casual Magic. I like building typal commander decks, and while I'm not good at the game, it feels fun to try and destroy my enemies with an army of unicorns. This has never worked. I really enjoy the way you talk about Magic, and the episodes of Commander at Home you've been on are some of my favorite. More Magic, please. Sorry for the long email. Got a little out of hand there. Thanks for all you do. Take care and lots of love, Mark. Yeah, we got to do more Magic stuff. I wonder, yeah. I mean, we've seen what segment of my audience is like an anime audience from doing the Anime Binge Club. I wonder what segment of my audience is like a Magic audience, you know?
I don't know. I mean, we could go back and look at the episodes where we talked more heavily about Magic and see, how those did.
Yeah. Maybe the 10x views were Magic viewers somehow.
Could be. And now they're sad that we were barely talking about Magic this episode.
Yeah. Man, everyone's so mad about the Spider-Man set, Kevin. It's annoying. I hate how
Can you explain the drama a little bit? Because I try to figure it out, and I'm not, like, other than just like the set is bad, I wasn't really able to understand some of the nuance of it.
Well, here's the thing, Kevin. There's a lot of factors happening, and it's hard to really break apart. One of the big factors, apparently, is Hasbro comprises a lot of different brands, right? Mm-hmm. But most of those brands are losing money. Wizards of the Coast, through D&D, and more specifically Magic, are like the only profitable thing Hasbro owns. So instead of like trying to find out something that could be good that they could do in their business, they've basically just turned to micromanaging Wizards of the Coast. And it's hard to really get a sense of like who's calling the shots. Because personally, I believe that the vast majority of these decisions that they're making is just Wizards of the Coast doing it for what they believe the good of the game is. But, the cynical and more rageful among us would tell you that it's all Hasbro forcing them to do whatever. But so Universes Beyond is the big thing. It's the biggest change to Magic. Universes Beyond means IP, means you can play with SpongeBob cards. They started Universes Beyond with like, I want to say some Walking Dead cards that you could only order special off their website. It wasn't like a set that you would buy packs of. And they did some Street Fighter cards. They mostly sold pretty well. And so they slowly started expanding what they were going to do. And
Okay.
they got to the point where they thought they could make full-on sets of the cards. But they were having the problem that they wanted them to be relevant. If they just had sets, they have all this tournament play. They have all these tournament formats. The main one is just standard. And standard is like recent sets that have come out pretty recently. And they determined that if they're trying to make a set of Magic cards that's not standard legal for the tournaments, people just aren't going to buy it. And so they decided that that they're going to start making standard legal Universes Beyond sets. And I think that got people mad at the time, but they didn't really have like an outlet for that. And so again, you know, there's the Walking Dead cards. They're just these online cards you can order. And because there are online cards you can order, people could like ignore them or forget about them or not care about them. But once it's a standard legal set, you start to not be able to ignore them. And so the thing is, the first set, well, technically there's a D&D set that came out, which is technically not Universes Beyond, but it was the first real like IP set they ever did. And that sold well too. But the first IP set they sold was Lord of the Rings, which was so popular. It was the most popular set ever. The most popular set ever was the first IP set. And so they were like, holy shit, this is going great. We're going to do this more. And then the second IP set that they sold was Final Fantasy. And that was an even bigger success. And so I think what this has led to is pent up anger that couldn't be expressed, because the people that are mad about Universes Beyond liked the sets so much that they couldn't get mad at those sets, even though those sets were doing the thing that they're mad about. And so I think Spider-Man is kind of the first set where they're actually allowed to be mad at it because it's not good. It's not doing incredible sales numbers, you know? But the thing about Spider-Man is it's also a small set. So Wizards of the Coast they always change things up because stuff is or isn't working. What they used to do is they'd make 3 sets that were related to each other, but the first set would always sell good and the second set would sell worse and the third set would always sell really bad. So then they started doing it, instead of doing it, we'll just make one set at a time. And then that fixed those sales numbers. But it's hard to make a whole big set. So they're like, okay, we'll just make smaller sets, but they won't be connected to anything. And they had this idea to make a really small set, and they put out the really small set, and people got so pissed that they're like, oh, we're never doing this again. But they had like this decade-long production schedule that had all these small sets that they're like, we can't sell these now. We were going to sell like 10 years of small sets. And so basically every small set, they've had to come up with some like way to deal with, because they put out that small set that went really poorly. Then they put out an Assassin's Creed small set, which is also IP, that also sold really poorly. It also wasn't standard legal. And so both of those things told them, we can't market small sets. And so they figured out something to do so they wouldn't be selling small sets since Assassin's Creed. And this is the first small set that they actually put out since then. I think that's the real reason the set's bad, is because it's small. Every time they've had a small set like this, it didn't sell well. And this small set is like hearkening back when they did small sets before in a different way. It also didn't sell well. So I think it's basically a relic of their production schedule where they were planning to sell small sets and realized they couldn't anymore. And this is like the last small set. They made it bigger so people wouldn't get pissed off, but it's still a small set. And so I think like in combination with this being like a small set that hasn't really been made because of how poorly the small sets have done, and combining that with this is the first Universes Beyond product that we're actually allowed to be mad at. I think this was, I think it really turned into this poster child for everything that's wrong with Magic. But I think they knew it was going to sell bad. They have on the marketing, they say a foil card in every box or something, which is like something they add for collector's value. But you wouldn't say you wouldn't put that in a normal set because you wouldn't need that as a marketing gimmick to buoy its sales, right? You wouldn't have to promise a shiny card in every pack. People would buy the cards. So I think the fact that they knew they would have to put that on the pack mean that even way before it was coming out, they're like, this set isn't going to do well, and so that doesn't fit as neatly into everyone's boxes as they sold out, and that's why the set's bad. The other thing is, Kevin, there's rights issues. They weren't allowed to call the cards the same thing in digital because Magic exists online. You could play Magic on Magic Arena online. I do that, and because of Marvel Snap, Marvel didn't license the characters for digital products. So they had to split up the card into a different series of products for the Spider-Man set. Let's see. They called it something called Through the Omen Paths. So like I can't even. So like, okay, there's Anti-Venom. Anti-Venom is like a obscure character from like the Venom world of Spider-Man, where there's all these symbiotes. Anti-Venom in this version is called Verilax the Haven Skin, and he's just like a big monster. And then there's like Peter Parker, and Peter Parker in this Omen Pass is Surus the Spider Silk Innovator. And so, you take all the recognizable branding off of the Spider-Man set and just give it like now it's Yara and Oski, Weaver and Guide. Like it's confusing. It's the same card that does the same thing in both versions, but they have different names, so it's hard to know. It's hard to keep track. If I was in any other set, if I was playing Arena, I would be the same card, and I know what the card did between different sets. So it's just like there's a lot of factors coming together to make it not really that effective. But people are like, oh, this is just because they're Universes Beyond. But the thing about Universes Beyond is it's selling really, really well. And like, of course, they're going to keep doing the thing that's selling really well. It sells really well. Like Final Fantasy sold way better than Aether Drift, and Aether Drift was an in-universe kind of set. So I don't know. It's not great, but I think they're trying. It's the same thing. I just don't see them as the cartoonish villains that everyone sees. It's just that there's more to it than that. It's not like it makes it good. It's less obvious. And I think the simplifying of narratives is emotional immaturity too. It's just like it's easier to believe that, daddy's the villain and he ruined the relationship, and not like, yeah, marriage is hard, I don't know.
It's a good point.
That's our show, folks. Get out of here. Your check's in the mail.
Okay. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.